You from California, right?
Yeah, LA. Yeah.
LA, and then you spent a lot of time in Spain at the Ferrero's Academy.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
what's he like as a coach, Juan Carlos Ferrero? If you could spend much time with him,
Yeah,
and
no,
what
I
is and
spent
what, and what
four
did he give to you?
no, I spent 4 years at the academy with Carlos and Juan Carlos, of course. And I mean, he's a good coach. Especially, I really liked him because he was always like super calm and he obviously he was already number one. He won a Grand Slam, so he knew how to get there. And that gave me a lot of confidence that he told me to like stay calm. But I was so young, I didn't really understand it. I was like, "What do you mean stay calm? I'm not gonna walk around and like not have any energy, you know." But that's what I thought it meant when it wasn't. It was like I said, work the point, work the point. Obviously dictate because you're an aggressive player. Your 70% ball is bigger than some people's 90. So if you can just do that and you can just do that and go cross change, you're gonna end up getting a weaker ball, a shorter ball where you can just go the other way and then come up to the net. So he made the game really simple. He said if you have a lot of power, you don't have to use 100% all the time. Just use 60%, take the pressure off yourself. You're a good mover, you're athletic, and just play the point. And then you're gonna have a chance to win. And he would always tell me that, and I never really understood it. I was too young, I had all this power. I was like, yo, I got a crazy sword. Let me use it. And it was you can use it, but you also have a nice knife that you can just, pluck away. So
A little
so I
shield.
feel like
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Now I'm starting to understand that, and it's all starting to come together a little bit more. So hopefully it's gonna keep coming together, but that's the goal. Yeah.
yeah. That sounds like. Remember, we had this mental coach like a couple years ago, Mark Russell, who used to say like the things that you're doing now that are kind of giving you issues, they worked for you at one point. So probably when you were 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, just being stronger than everybody
Yeah.
worked
For
until a
100%.
level. And then you hit a ceiling with that. And then you have to kind of find new solutions. So I guess
Yeah.
this is your sort of journey to find what next solution is gonna work to a point. Then you gotta find a new thing, and it's gonna
No, for sure.
it's gonna
For
keep going
sure.
that way.
Yeah, which is
And
sick, which is
yeah,
sick because then you always got something to work for.
for
You
sure.
always got something to get better at. And I mean, if that's not the goal, then I don't know what is.
Then what we doing?
What are we doing?
Yo, training with Carlos Alcaraz. What was that like?
This guy, bro, this guy, dude.
What is
Um,
he like?
dude, he's like the nicest, chillest, like down to earth, just like vibing in his moment. Just being aware. He's so aware about like what he's doing and just chill. And we practiced a lot. We practiced a lot. We'd play matches. We'd play sets. Um, he was because I remember the first time I heard of him, he was 15. I was 17, and I heard his name, and I was like, yeah, like can't be that good. It can't be that good. He's 15, whatever. You hear about prodigies all the time. And then he came to the academy. I saw him hit. I was like, that full extended forehand. I mean, it's gonna be a problem. I mean,
So you
he's
knew right from the
nasty.
beginning.
Yeah, yeah, he was nasty. And then he was super athletic, and I was like, fuck, like this guy actually might beat me in a race. Might, you know? But he couldn't, he couldn't, he
If
couldn't.
anyone could
But
do
now
it, it
he's
might be him.
yeah, exactly. He might. And then Juan Carlos started coaching him, and then it got all serious. But like I said, I mean, he was just super like just chill, down to earth guy. You know, training, he was an absolute beast. He would never miss. He wouldn't miss. He'd hit winners all the time. It was exactly how we just see in the matches. It's the guy. The guy just knows that and just kept doing that. And it was sick to train with him because he'd give this like perfect ball with spin, right onto the racket. It was sick until he did a winner, and then you're like, all right, cool. Like next point, next point, next point. Yeah,
You guys
yeah.
must
No,
have
but
burned through balls, bro.
yeah, no, it was sick. Honestly, it was unreal.
Who worked
Yeah, some
harder,
of the
you or
best.
him?
I'm always gonna say me. Come on. I'm always gonna say, I'm always gonna say me.
If
No, he was a legend. He's sick. He's sick. I love him.
if you could
Yeah.
share any insight, could you sense how Ferrero coached you differently than him? Like, what was the differences that he kind of Like, was he able to sort of morph either personality or information to each of you differently?
I think, I mean, we both were pretty. I would say, I mean, I'm gonna say this because I like saying it. We were both pretty similar. You know, he was athletic. I'm athletic. You know, we both had really nice forehands. We were solid. Obviously, mentally, I think he was just ahead of his age. You know, he was just so he knew what he had to do in the moments, in the exact moments. And I think where when Juan Carlos would coach me a little bit, you know, that's where I kind of struggled a little bit. That's where I lagged behind a little bit. You know, where I feel like Carlos understood it right there and right then and
Mm-hmm.
would do it. Whereas me, you know, it took me more time to understand that. You know, and at the end of the day, I would always be like, damn, why is this guy why is he already number one? I'm still, 290, 300. You know, having that comparison was tough. And I feel like just recently I kind of got over that. And it was sick. It was nice to understand that, like, we kind of, I'm not gonna say grew up together, but we trained together for a long time. And then now it's like, okay, how would he do and what would he do? And he would just understand it, stay calm, and just, I mean, it's as simple as just doing it. You know, he had the confidence to do it, and now you just gotta have the confidence in yourself to do it, believe you can, and hopefully it comes out. And if it doesn't, at least you tried, and on the next match, now you know what to do.
You decided to leave Ferrero's, and then you came back to the States, right? You were in the USTA for a
Yeah,
while, and then
yeah,
now you training with a coach from Argentina.
yeah.
Kind of quickly, the choice to leave the Ferreros, and then can you speak to the differences between sort of like Spanish philosophy and tennis, American and Argentinian? If you can sense a difference between
Yeah,
those three or not?
yeah. I feel the reason first why I left the academy, I still have super good ties with everyone there. It was like a family vibe, and it felt unbelievable. I think, like I said before, I was really young. I was super young. I mean, I'm still pretty young, but I was a teenager back then, and I wasn't really I wasn't really understanding fully about what I had to do. Unlike Carlos, when he understood it at the second, he would make the adjustment. You know, and we worked a lot of it with my coach, but at the same time, I also just miss United States.
Uh-huh.
I miss being at home. There wasn't like, oh, like I'm not improving here. I gotta go. Not at
Having
all.
some Chipotle, Five Guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get some Chick-fil-A, dude. Oh my God. But no, yeah, yeah, literally. It was kind of a decision about, like, look, I'm gonna be a little bit happier, you know, in the States. I was already uncomfortable for so long, being away from home, and yes, you gotta you gotta be uncomfortable to improve. I really believe that. But I got really comfortable being comfortable. I was away from home. I had my routine at the academy. I was training fine. I was doing whatever, you know, and I got comfortable. And you can't get comfortable when you're training. You can't get comfortable when you're playing matches. You got to look for the adversity. And I feel like I already overcame all the adversity that I had to by going to the academy and training there. So I feel like I kind of matured out of that, and I was like, you know what, it's time to go home and be a little bit happier in myself. And I did. I went to USTA. I trained with Dean, which was unreal. I love him. He's unbelievable. I trained in Orlando. I got an apartment there, which was unreal. I was happy. It was great. I started the year really good. I got to my highest ranking, and then towards the bottom of the year, it got a little tough. Maybe scheduling wasn't great. Not putting excuses out there, but definitely learn from the next one. And then this preseason, I worked with Diego Christine from Argentina. I'm basing out of Buenos Aires now, so that's sick. Um, Dude, I don't really know if, like, there's a huge philosophy difference in training nowadays. Maybe a few years ago, yeah, but now, especially, you had this mentality of, like, Spaniards, being these absolute grinders on dirt where they're not going to give you a ball. And then I'm training with a guy that's going to hit 24 winners on me in the set. Like, hold up. This is different. This isn't how it's supposed to be. So I would kind of say, all the philosophies started merging together. And then you have Buenos Aires where, these people, I mean, they love the dirt. I love the dirt too. But, it's like, I would say maybe in South America, Buenos Aires, especially, I guess, it's a lot of like, I'm gonna be a wall. I'm gonna be a wall, and you're gonna have to beat me, which is great, which is unreal. I mean, not too many people can hit a lot of winners in a match, and that's fine. But I feel like the philosophies are starting to merge a little bit more now.
But I
It's
guess
not so much.
from your perspective, like you have such a clear identity. There's no struggle in what your identity is as a player. So there
Yeah,
can't be too much difference in how to coach you specifically.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
as a coach, if you have eyes, you know what he needs to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Look to be aggressive. If you got to defend, but you look to be aggressive. Try to hit some aces and just run down balls if you have to.
Yeah. Thanks for watching this clip. If you want to watch the full episode, the link is in the description down below.